Pokemon is a franchise that has gone through so many phases of success and has compelled to millions of people around the globe for years now. It's a franchise that has cemented itself around the motifs of friendship, strength, and many more beautiful terms to describe what Pokemon means to us. It has been around for decades now, and everyone that got infatuated with this franchise could have experienced it in different ways, varying from the video games to the trading card game, anime, and even movies. Because to so many of us, there exists a protagonist we have been rooting for ever since the beginning of our Pokemon journeys, even back since its conception and towards its middle and ending point. For new, old, and even ex-fans, he's shown us the most compelling narratives that have shaped us as human beings we are today, and without a doubt is one of the most iconic anime protagonists of all time. However, now that his story is over, I am here to showcase how his eventual fate has always been prophesized, and the symbolisms that have always lied right there in front of us, ever since the beginning of this century. Starting from where it all began, Pokemon the first movie featuring Mewtwo. This was one of the most iconic things of all time back then. I wasn't born, but I still got how big of a deal this was when I finally watched it during the first ever exposure of mine of the film. I stumbled upon the Pikachu slapping his clone gif during the early days of the internet, and it broke my heart. So I wanted to see the context. Thus, I entered the world of Mewtwo, the Team Rocket biologically engineered Pokemon based off of a quest to replicate Mew, the seemingly most powerful and first Pokemon in existence at the time. The movie ended up becoming a huge success in not only Japan, but also in the United States of America. It had a darker story than the usual norm that you would expect from this type of movie, but contained a compelling narrative, where it is questioned if it's okay or not for humans to experiment with the natural forces of nature. It was a huge step towards showcasing what Pokemon stories could be capable of, even if the writer of the movie at first wasn't allowed to go all out with this concept. Pokemon was possibly nearing its end, after hundreds of children from Japan suffered from seizures due to the infamous Pokemon shock. Episode 38, Cyber Soldier Porygon, featured a series of flashing red and blue lights, and thus was the cause of this. And during this state of affairs, where the anime was pulled off of TVs, the writer of the first Pokemon movie, Takeshi Shudo, took this opportunity to make the first Pokemon movie, and it may very well have been due to the huge success that this movie garnered that the Pokemon franchise is still something that is recognized today. So by the time the second movie was greenlit, Takeshi Shudo gained full creative freedom to do as he pleased, and I think that is where these two movies and everything the anime franchise stands for started shaping the future. Pokemon 2, or to many of us, Pokemon 2000, also known as Pokemon the Power of One, also known as Revelation Lugia, also known as, Jesus Christ, how many names does this movie have? Also known as Pokemon X, Lugia's original name. Takeshi Shudo, like I covered, was the person behind this movie. That was also the person who created the main draw to this film.
The Great Guardian, Lugia.
Takeshi had stated in numerous forums that he was under lots of influence of alcohol and medical drugs to create the script and the Beast of the Sea, even leading to his death. Which is a sad ending to his story, especially if you know that his full vision of what Lugia is and was supposed to be wasn't utilized. Lugia was supposed to be this maternal figure as the mother of every living and breathing Pokemon. So was it all worth it in the end? To his vision and the eventual ending of the series? That's something that I needed to find out, since I had not watched this film ever since I was a kid. Only remembering small snippets and what this movie meant to me and the impact it also had on others, as well as the franchise in itself. So upon return, I noticed something which led me to make this video, that Ash's story has always been prophesized. But before I can get into that, I have to get everyone watching up to speed. The movie follows a set of events that led our heroes to reach Shamudi Island, an island located in the middle of the Orange Islands. A storm had been forming ever since the crew had arrived on Shamudi Island. Lawrence III, is the culprit of creating the storm because of his quest to capture the legendary birds and eventually lure out Lugia and capture him too. Lawrence is a collector who had started his collection from a Mew card, and due to his capture of Moltres first, Zapdos ends up creating a storm and taking over Moltres' territory. The inhabitants of Shimudi are partaking in their annual tradition to honor the prophecy foretold by their ancestors, in which it states that nobody should meddle with the harmony of fire, ice, and lightning, and that only the chosen one shall harmonize these powers once again. Ash ends up in between this world-ending crisis, along with the help of Lugia and even the help of Team Rocket. And no, not Tracy. This man has no dialogue. This is like the only time he talks.
He's a boy and he's a friend, but he's not a boyfriend.
You talking about me?
I don't want to cover every little detail in this story because it isn't a necessity to my point, and I don't want to turn this whole section into a review. However, for now, I do want to mention that this movie, even after all these years, is one of the most beautiful and entertaining pieces of Pokemon media I have ever seen, and I highly recommend it to everyone that hasn't seen it or haven't seen it in a long time. This film has always stayed true to Ash's journey, quest, and even his ending. So much so that his eventual fate was always in the prophecy.
Disturb not the harmony of fire, ice, or lightning, lest these titans wreak destruction upon the world in which they clash. Though the water's great guardian shall arise to quell the fighting, alone its song will fail. Thus the earth shall turn to ash.
The world shall turn to ash would have been able to quell these world-ending catastrophes through his own sense of justice, will, and friendship. Nothing else matters to this hero other than doing what is right in the benefits of Pokemon and humans alike. It's Ash's resolve that led Mewtwo to accept and forgive humans. It has always been Ash's resolve. But there plays a duality in this role. Lawrence. He's never shown to actually be a bad guy with bad intentions to take over the world or something like that, only taking Lugia and the birds into captivity for his own sense of accomplishment. But doesn't that sound familiar? Ash and Lawrence are two sides of the same coin, as are you and I. Think back to how Lawrence started his quest and collection.
How it all began, and how I'll begin again.
He is the embodiment of us, the players of these games, the trading card games, the video games, the post-game capture of these legendary Pokemon, only to leave them in the boxes forever, to only be seen as an accomplishment and treasure that was collected. And then there's Ash, the one that was chosen by these Pokemon. He is the people's hero. He strives off of friendship, strength, and a strong will to achieve his goals. And this Pokemon want to help him in this sense, not by capturing them and using them only because they were captured. Just like how overpowered friendship is in the video games, they will go through thick and thin to make sure that you won't worry. Ash had always been able to do these things, and that to me screams a Pokemon Master in his own right. Ash's story has always been in the prophecy, the hero of the world who is always there to help in each and every matter which is in the right of Pokemon, even the most mythical and legendary ones. It was always prophesized and will always stay true to his character, as well as before his maturity. His story didn't end fulfilled with everything he wanted to do in his life this far. But that's life. You don't always get the things you want, but you do get the things that you were always destined to be, that you were needed to be. And Ash wasn't only the chosen one who the world relied on in the anime, but also in the real world. Millions of people relied on him from inspiration to happiness to rooting for him every step of the way and shaping us into the people we are today. And it's bittersweet. But just like the story of the anime is about following your dreams and making connections and following your destiny, you should be doing it too. Because anyone could have been the chosen one. All can be the hero if they choose to fight for what is right, following their dreams, gut, and following their destiny with people alongside them who will stay with them throughout their whole journey. Even if everything wasn't achieved, it isn't about being discontent with what you didn't end up achieving. It's about being content with what you did end up achieving and being grateful for these opportunities. Because eventually, concluding your journey is just as important as enjoying this lifelong battle in becoming
I will be a Pokémon Master. I'm Ash from the town of Pallet. I'm destined to be the world's #1 Pokémon Master. You hear me?
Hey Ash, it's Shivam here. Thoughts from Shivam. Your cousin reached out to ask for a birthday message, and he said you're the guy that used to always comment on my TikToks with the Musashi profile pic, so obviously I knew who you were right away. Hope you have a great birthday, and hope your 20s starts off very well. I actually remember his Musashi praying profile picture so vividly. He used to comment on all my TikToks, so I really appreciated that back in the day. Thank you again. Happy birthday again to him.